Bob Marley One Love is this new music biopic in the sense that's really been going on since, I want to say, Bohemian Rhapsody. You know, we get this famous musician who lived a very successful but in some ways kind of tragic lifestyle, and they turn it into a movie. And I will just get right into the things that I feel they did right here. Okay, Kingsley Ben-Adir, I think I pronounced his name right, I'm still not entirely sure. But I thought he did well as Bob Marley. He had that charm, that charisma, that just overwhelming likability factor that you feel like Bob Marley had, you know, the very chill, laid back, stoner kind of vibe to him. You saw it, he never took life too seriously, he never took his own life too seriously. He just wanted to entertain the world, and he really believed that through music, through his music, he could cure the hatred that was in the world, because where he was from, there was an abundance of it. I definitely got that vibe from Kingsley Ben-Adir. Now, does he own this role the same way Rami Malek owned it as Freddie Mercury or Austin Butler did as Elvis? No, not necessarily. I don't see him being up for anything at the award ceremony next year, but he does well with what he's given. The other performance in this movie that I do really want to stress on, though, is Lashana Lynch, who plays Bob Marley's wife, Rita Marley. I thought she was easily the best actor in this movie. Because what I really like seeing with her is, like, she's basically been on tour with him. She's been one of his backup singers in his band, and she's also got the overwhelming task of, you know, being a wife, being a mother, holding down the fort when he's out touring or doing his interviews. And there's one scene in particular, there's an argument between the two of them, and she's kind of just like lashing out over how overwhelmed she really is by everything. It's one of those scenes you just watch, I'm just like, she's really bringing it here. I respect that. Also, the scenes where they're forming music together as a group, they're composing songs, they're writing music, I liked those moments. Because again, you really felt like the family in this band, the whole unity that was going on between them. It was nice, it felt real, it felt very authentic. I mean, a lot of these movies that you get, the stories that you see, you know, it's like things were very tense backstage when writing music, everyone was butting heads because everyone has creative ideas. Here, everyone seemed like they were on the same page, and it was just very kumbaya between the band. Getting into what doesn't work with this movie, and I think what's been the biggest flaw that everyone's had with this movie, I'm not a big fan of the story of Bob Marley that we are told. Because the trailers made it sound like, and really the kind of mentality you go in with all these music biopics is it shows these stars rise into fame. It shows how they got discovered, where their talent came from, who saw them and was like, that's the next one. The story we get in this one, Bob Marley is already very established as a performer, as a singer, especially in his own country. And right out the gate, within like the first, I want to say 5, maybe 10 minutes max, is the assassination attempt on his life. When you see the trailer, you feel like that's going to be the big, holy shit, what the fuck moment in the movie. It's going to be about him, you know, going through the adversity that he faced, and then performing in the peace concert that he intended to, like, what, 2 days after he was almost killed? Like, I feel like that was supposed to be the end of the movie, or at least like the whole second half story of this movie, and the first half would have been, you know, how he was discovered, what his life was like in this country. And really, you only get very brief flashbacks of what his childhood was, what his early life was like. I don't know, I see bits and pieces of that. I'm like, I feel like there's an entire movie in that could actually be really good. In this case, it kind of just jumps straight ahead to the really dramatic part of the movie, and as a result, it just takes a lot out of it. And then really the rest of the movie is just not even so much about his rise or how he overcame that. It's just him, really, it's his touring, it's him meeting the other countries, and the movie's trying to show how inspirational his music was in the entire world, but I never really got that vibe. Like, I almost felt the movie would have worked a lot better if they condensed the plot a little bit more and really just showed maybe the effect he had initially on his own country. Also, even what's kind of disappointing is the whole concert scenes that we get throughout this movie. You know, you see bits and pieces of them throughout, but you never get a full-on show. Like, anyone who saw Bohemian Rhapsody, if you saw the concert they performed at Live Aid in theaters, it was unbelievable. It was phenomenal. Like, that alone would have been worth the price of admission. But in this one, we never really get that. We never really get to see so much of his stage presence, the influence he had on a crowd, just really at no point in this movie did he ever really feel like a superstar when he was on stage performing in front of thousands of people. As a result of that, I think that's where this movie really suffers from pacing. And I tell people all the time, there's a difference between long movies, and slow movies can result from a variety of different factors. And in this case, where I think the movie suffers from being slow is the fact that it told a story, for me anyway, that I wasn't really all that invested in. Like, I definitely feel like there is a movie about Bob Marley that could be amazing, that could be awesome, even with the cast that we were given. But I just think the route they took, it just didn't work. So all in all, Bob Marley, One Love, it just kind of felt like wasted potential. The cast does well all around. I did love seeing the chemistry between everyone. I did feel like it showed who Bob Marley was as a person and captured that very well. I wish they captured more of how he was as the superstar. I wish it factored more on other aspects in his life. I mean, we found out this guy died when he was 36 and doesn't really focus on that whole ordeal that he dealt with as much. That could have dealt for some emotion at least. Took what could have been maybe the most dramatic, emotional part of the story, kind of throws that at us in the very beginning, doesn't really touch on that much until the very end, didn't really show as much of the stage presence that he had as I would have liked to have seen. And in the end, this will definitely not be the last biopic we get about a famous music star, but I do hope whatever comes next is a little bit better. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video, and as always, don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.